Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I've been watching Versus for the last couple hours. Reached a point where I'm like, all right, it's time to step away. That thing is long as hell. So, look down at my phone. What it say? It said the teams that Kyrie Irving has listed on his list, are not interested in him necessarily. And that's what I told you guys just out of sheer speculation because I looked at all those fits and said none of those fits make any sense. I don't think Kyrie Irving has any interest in any of those teams either. That's what I also am speculating. I don't think he's interested in those teams. I think he's interested in getting his money and his years from the damn Nets, first and foremost. That's what I think. And if that's off the table, then he can go to plan B, as to which I think it would probably be go to the Los Angeles Lakers, some way, shape, or form. Now, from what I'm understanding, maybe it's not as simple as I thought it was in terms of matching the salary for whatever set of complicated reasons. He may not have a very he may not have many paths to Los Angeles that don't require him to take significant pay cut, with our mid-level exception. Now that doesn't mean that there's not a way to make up for that on the back end somehow. You just got to get creative. I don't want to put anything out there because that's well beyond my understanding. But I know that there is a way to make him whole and make sure he gets his cash. But at the same time, it's like, by way of the NBA, he may have to take a pay cut, a massive one, if he wants to join our team. And the problem also lies on him to understand that if he doesn't decide to do that, I'm not sure how many teams are going to be willing to give him anything more than that, based on the fact that he has so much of this hovering over him. So I don't know how bad his his value may actually be, or how good it may actually be. But I look at the field and I say, I don't know how many teams who are in a rebuilding situation want to take a flyer on him if they were to, like for example, Detroit, since they have some money. Would they be willing to take on Kyrie Irving? I mean, not for their fit. I look at Portland. If they're trying to add a star to their team, is Kyrie Irving the guy that they're looking to add to their situation? Not with Dame on board. I don't think that's a good fit. And you float around, you look at Orlando, they got young guards, no reason to do that there. You look at San Antonio, they got DeJounte Murray, no reason to do that there. Like, all the teams that have the money to do it don't have any incentive to do it. The New York Knicks are in the mix, I would imagine, but they seem to have their eyes on Jalen Brunson, and it is reported by God knows whom, because when I say it has been reported, I also understand that that could be one side or another trying to leverage a situation. It could be Jalen Brunson's teams releasing that information or funneling that information, or whomever trying to, make the negotiations sway in their favor. So I say these things understanding that. But it's been said that the Knicks prioritize Jalen Brunson over Kyrie Irving. So I don't think that has to do with Kyrie's talent. I think that has to do with the reputation and his choices in the past to not be available, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's what's working against him. So it's coming down to a situation just like Dennis Schroeder's. Not just like Dennis Schroeder's, but I deduce it the same way, in a sense where he's running out of places it makes sense to go to, and running out of places that I think will give him an opportunity to be himself. He's running out of options. So as I look at the landscape, I say the Lakers have interest. He shouldn't have any problem wanting to come here. So that seems like the only logical thing is for him to come here. And luckily enough, we all want that. Well, most Laker Nation wants that, I believe. I think it's a lot of people who are buying into the narratives. But once they see him dribble around on our team, believe me, he's going to win us over very quickly. But just as quickly as he wins us over, he could lose us just as fast by doing some of the stuff he's already done in places he's been. But I would tell him, you don't have many more chances to prove to an organization that you're a super duper star in terms of salary. They're not going to want to give you a max going forward unless you're willing to prove yourself as somebody who's not willing to do some of the things that you were willing to do in the past. And so if you're going to play the game of the NBA, that's the thing. It's like, if you're not going to retire, you might as well play the game. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations where it's like, just like I told the Lakers in regards to having your 1 foot in and 1 foot out in terms of rebuilding and not, I'd say the same thing to any player who's trying to have the wiggle room to do whatever they want and still want to kind of be involved as an employee of the NBA. It just doesn't. Those two worlds don't mix. You got to give up something somewhere, and so it's up to him to really figure that out. But while he's teetering, people are gonna make that decision for him, and he's seeing that happen, as we all are. So it's like the Lakers are gonna give him an opportunity, and to be honest with you, that opportunity is probably gonna be a great one because we don't have nothing other than the 3 stars. So it's gonna be high usage for all 3 of them to maximize their usage and being themselves. And this just so happens to be the best market to be in, arguably, in all of the world in terms of making off the court money. So any type of situation with him not being able to do whatever on the basketball court making money in terms of the salary, he's going to be able to make on the back end. I didn't know his Nike deal had went away. I didn't know that was not the case anymore. I thought that was still in the loop. But this Kyrie Irving, man, he's box office. If Nike ain't with him, there's about several others who would be willing to jump back on board if he were a Laker. Just off the strength, he was a Laker next to LeBron James. So that the return to, what's the character that he has, Uncle Drew, that's imminent. As soon as he puts himself in a Laker uniform, he's going to have opportunities to get that bag right there immediately. That goes without saying, as if he doesn't have that already. But you're in Los Angeles, so you'll be able to do it hands-on without having to catch a flight or nothing. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, the opportunities are plentiful. He can walk away from the Lakers well on his way to being a billionaire if he really wants to be, just off of the sheer nature of his gift, which is to entertain with this dribbling ability that literally no one else can do. So I think it's perfect. It's a match made in heaven. It's the only option. So, I mean, if that ain't a blessing, I don't know what is. Because a lot of times when people have only one option, it ain't a great one. When you look at, like, Dennis Schroeder's situation, he's still trying to find a home because of that very nature. So you got to seize that blessing if you're Kyrie Irving. The very team that everyone wants to get to is the only team that can actually take him and wants him to just basically be himself. And if he is on his worst behavior, as I've said, and this is just my speculation, I'm pretty sure the Lakers don't like me saying this, but all they're going to do is just scapegoat him and say everything's his fault any damn way. So that's not a bad thing for the Lakers if he comes here and says, you know what, I just want to go to Japan for 3 weeks. Then they're going to be like, well, we suck because he went to Japan for 3 weeks instead of our situation isn't so good. So it's like, it gives the media something to talk about. If he plays great, they're talking. If he sucks, they're talking. We love that here. You know that. So it's like, it's perfect, man. He's coming to the Lakers or he's staying with the Nets. And see, that's up to the Nets. When you listen to all that I'm saying, it's like, well, if you're the Nets, then obviously you don't value him no more than the rest of the league does. So you're probably willing to let him go. So where does he go? LAL, man. LAL. the brightest lights and the biggest stars and the most talented players and the greatest showmen should have always been. All of them should have been here. Michael Jordan should have been a Laker the whole time. I'm sorry. It's true. It's true. Granted, he did great things with the Bulls, and the Bulls had a very unique situation because of Scottie Pippen's situation. At the end of the day, he's the only greatest player of all time that has never put on a Laker uniform. All the rest of them put it on. All of them. Bron's here. That's why. So I think Kyrie Irving sees himself the same way, even though maybe most people see him a different way. At the end of the day, he's going to be able to establish himself as a Laker great if he's willing to work and willing to, get it right however it goes. And I think he's in a great situation. He's going to be with a guy like Darvin Ham. I think Darvin Ham's a great coach for Kyrie Irving because he's going to hold Kyrie accountable. But I think he's going to be, from what I can see, he's going to be a person who can allow Kyrie to play his game within the system that it seems like he wants to run. And there will be a lot of defensive help because we're picking up wing defensive players. I really like the Christie pick for Kyrie type of help. You got situations like that to where if you put him on the floor with Kyrie Irving and Kyrie's not able to, stay with the guy, he don't have to take the worst matchup on the floor. You can have a guy like Christie on the floor who can be a threat once he's developed. So that's going to help us on the long run for Kyrie Irving. Take pressure off him defensively. So these are the type of things I can already see. We're building our team with the intent of having a player that has his strengths and weaknesses already. You can already see it. So this is one of those situations where I'm just looking at it, I'm saying, okay, well, it's up to the Nets. If they want to let him go, that's a great thing for them in terms of my mentality as a Nets GM because I'm just trying to get rid of any headaches I have. if I'm them. I don't care about none of this. I just want to get back into a position of strength to build my team to be what it is that I want it to be, whatever that is. And it's not that I don't like the players I have. It's just that the best way to do that is to probably just start over. So that's how I'm looking at the Nets situation. It don't even have to be I'm tired of somebody. No, just let's just start over and get it right. So I'm assuming they're on that type of mission. I really do. I think that KD's already in a space where he's looking past the current situation. I believe that as well. I think he's poised to see what happens, of course, but I think he's probably already got his mind on his future and what the other situations look like. And I hope somebody sends him one of my videos, or he clicks on something, he sees my name, and he clicks on it, because I had a couple ideas that I think won't be that bad of options that maybe aren't conventional, and certainly aren't options that are probably being presented to him. Because I'm sure they want to send him to my team, which is great if he wants to choose the Lakers. But we can't bring him and Kyrie, and that's just a strange situation with him and Bron having that Cold War that's been going on for 15 years that I know is there, that they don't really talk about, but we can all see that they've been leveraging one way or another, trying to make sure that they position themselves to be better than the other. Bron has won that matchup 10 times over, by the way. KD, I'm not gonna lie to you, man, it ain't even close. But KD's still playing, and he ain't done. We ain't seen the last of that dude, and if he goes to the right fit, you will be reminded of exactly how elite he is. Because his stock is super low, and it ain't gonna stay down. Trust you me. If you think KD is done, you're silly. Literally silly. But he is gonna need some defensive help. He is gonna need to get on a team with a bunch of wings, and he is gonna have to accept the fact that Kyrie is probably gonna come to the Lakers. So that is just how I see it. Don't necessarily have to play that way, but if I'm the Nets, it's definitely playing that way. So yeah, man. Maybe he goes to the Knicks. Maybe he just says, you know what, let me go up there to that old team, Knicks, and see what I can do. I doubt it, though. He has so many better options. So my thinking, OKC, even though I think they have plans, now that I got some new information on OKC, they have plans to target some amazing player that is coming down the pipeline. So I don't think they want to get good right now. So you might have to scratch OKC off the list in terms of what I'm thinking for spots for KD. But a new spot has popped up in my head, but the salary's going to have to be moved around. I think Denver would be a great spot for KD. I think that would be an excellent spot for him. You put him next to Nikola Jokic, and they will be nearly unstoppable or definitely unstoppable. It's one or the other. I respect Porter Jr., and I know they just paid him, but that back scares me. You know what I'm saying? I love Jamal Murray's game. I know he's going to come back from that knee just fine. But if he doesn't come back at the level that I've paid him, I'm stuck with 2 bad contracts, not 1. So if I'm Denver, to be completely honest with you, I'm probably trading both of those guys, if at all possible. I know, I believe in them both too, but the risk is not worth toying around with Jokic's timeline. You do not want to play with Jokic's timeline. Now, granted, I don't know that bringing in an aging KD is necessarily the right way. If you don't build properly, they're going to have problems. But that's Kevin Durant and Nikola Jokic, fam. If you can't build something good around those two, there's something wrong with you. Trust you me. So I really do think that's a great situation for KD. It may take 2 years to get the championship, but I think he would get it there. I think he would. And Jokic and KD. So that's an option. He can always slip in and take somebody's spot because he's KD, so he can literally do that. Like, if he just wants to take Middleton's spot, I'm sure they would ship Middleton out. Even though I don't know if I would necessarily think that way, but he could do something like that if he wanted to. Timberwolves, something like that, slip right in as a small forward there, play next to Anthony Edwards and Karl Towns. Now, they would deplete themselves of everything else, basically trying to get KD, which I don't think is the best move for a team like the Timberwolves. But that's a place I think is interesting. As I told you guys, I really love the idea of having skinny players that are all lengthy. And that's why I wanted to put him at OKC. That's exactly why I also like him at the New Orleans Pelicans, because if I put him next to Brandon Ingram, I am certain they're going to beat people. They're going to beat people a lot. And even though they're thin, it ain't going to matter because they're still going to beat the hell out of people. So that is intriguing to me as well. I've always wanted to pair those two players up. I'm just weird like that. A lot of people say, you have 2 of the same player. I'm like, yes, and they're interchangeable, and they're long, and they cannot be stopped at all. Literally, you are not stopping KD and Brandon Ingram at all. So these are the type of things I'm looking at. I'm like, yo, there's no fit that KD doesn't have. But he's going to have to find a fit that's going to make it so that he has a lot more help than he's left himself with since going to the Nets. Now, if the Nets are able to unload, if Kyrie does come off the book somehow, however that goes, and they replace him with, say, a Bradley Beal or Zach LaVine or something like that, I think that could be intriguing. But even if they do that, I still look at the Nets as a situation I'm not really certain. Not certain if that's the best option for this upcoming season, which should be a win-now situation for him, or a 2-year situation. I always say, give it 2. But San Antonio was an option I thought was pretty solid, but they're trying to trade DeJounte Murray. That's a red flag for me. I don't know what the hell they're doing. That's just weird. And then, there are other situations as well. Obviously, Boston's a place you can consider. Maybe he just snatches up one of them. I don't know how they would do that, but, you brainstorm KD in Miami. You could consider that. Obviously, they'd have to do some big things with their cap space, but that is an excellent place for him to land as well. So, all in all, you're looking at a situation where I think that's the point of why I went down the KD rabbit hole. It's because I understand that the Nets situation, whether they want to be there or not, is probably not their best option for this upcoming season. And the only reason that is because of the nature of Ben Simmons' game versus the availability that he may not have. When you're talking about his where his head is possibly versus where his back is versus the fact that he doesn't shoot. And that is just a weird combination of things to have on tab at once if you're trying to win right now. Now if he were 100% healthy without any concerns and he was back to Ben Simmons from 5 years ago, then we would say this is a fantastic opportunity for KD playing with this dude. But the fact of the matter is he is on a max contract with all these concerns and really no understanding of what he's going to come back as to start the season. Or if for some reason something happens and he's not able to stay throughout the season, KD's left with a whole max contract not represented on the floor with him next year. That's just not a risk he should be taking at this stage in his career at all, under any circumstance. And mind you, maybe that would prompt one to think that the Nets should trade Ben Simmons, but I am not certain they should. I really don't think they should. That's the point. I think he should be a part of what they do going forward based on his timeline. Kyrie's already out the door. All you got to do is move KD to the right situation. You got Ben Simmons, you wait on him, and you bring him young players. That way, Ben Simmons' timeline makes sense for whatever could be on the pipeline for the next 3 years for him, mentally, back-wise, whatever. You get a chance to, at the very least, if you're stuck with the contract, play it out without having anything attached to it that would make it so that you're pressured to win right now. You see what I'm saying? Like the Ben Simmons, if for some reason you're not able to build the right team around Ben Simmons, you have the fail-safe of Ben Simmons that the fact of the matter is, and maybe he's not going to be right, maybe he is. And if he is right, then you got a fantastic player that you can put a bunch of shooters around, and a defensive player that's going to anchor your team defensively. So I don't want to give up Ben Simmons the piece because I like starting with him, especially since, for his sake, for Ben Simmons' sake, he needs to be in a situation that's built around him. That's why the Philadelphia 76ers were not the right spot for him. Now, I will tell you the truth. KD is definitely the type of player I would want to put next to Ben Simmons. That's not even a question. Of course he's the piece. He's the main piece I would want next to Ben Simmons. But KD has his own timeline to worry about. He can't wait for Ben Simmons to be right. That's why it's not right. It may be right for Ben. It may be right for the Nets. But the timelines don't match. Now, if KD was about 8 years younger, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. But you got to respect the legend's timeline, man. You can't have him waiting around. You can't have him on the hook for whether or not this guy's going to be healthy. That's not cool. Not for where he's at. No, we're not doing that with KD's career. I hated the fact that we went through that with Kobe because we didn't have what we needed to make him great. But at least he was where he wanted to be and he was getting maximum dollar. That's the main thing. So, and he was a legend here already. So whatever his legacy was going to be, it was going to be attached to this franchise. Otherwise, he was just going to go somewhere and be seen in a different uniform. It taints things a lot of times for guys of that nature. So given the fact that KD is somebody who has a home, as I've told you guys, OKC's his home in the past video, I think that's probably where he should try to go back to because that's a better building situation than the one he's in. But if they have their eyes on some young kid that's going to be fantastic later on, I wouldn't mess that up for them. So we move on. So things, I mean, I'm not saying things are drying up for KD by any stretch of the imagination, but the truth of the matter is he really probably cannot go everywhere. Like there are places that are probably saying, not for our timeline, sir, which is crazy, but you know, that's the thing. Some teams really do have a vision for themselves that adds in the future stars, not necessarily the guys who are present or past. So you just got to respect that. Guys have vision, and I think it's going to work for some of them. Going to youth movement, it's going to work. But KD's still KD, bro. you need to, like, if you have any desire to win right now, that should be the main person you're looking for. That would be otherwise available. I think that's common sense, though. So I don't know. I don't know. We did see him look bad against the Boston Celtics. No lie. And do you know why? Because he didn't have what he needed. That would not have happened if he would have had adequate teammates around him, help, all that, healthy Ben Simmons. That doesn't happen. He don't look like that. It's not possible for him to look like that. That's only possible if you zero in on him and the other guys aren't a threat. So, because I understand that, I don't look at KD as any different than I did at the beginning of the season when he was playing great. Nothing's changed. If you take that KD and put him in that same situation, guess what? The looking great KD is going to struggle. Believe it or not. That's what nobody's going to tell you. KD at his best is probably struggling against that defense in that situation. So that is what I know, and because of it, I still think he's a max. Well, I still think he should be valued the same, and I think because of it, I think he shouldn't have a problem scooting someone out the way if that's the case, or replacing somebody who really matters to you if that's the case, a la trading DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard and it got you a championship, Toronto. That is what this is. For whichever one of you teams that are willing to do it, maybe you got a guy that's been there too long, but he's excellent. Get him up out of Middleton or something like that. And I love Middleton. Don't get it twisted. But there's no question. Come on now. There's no question. So this is the type of thing I think KD's going to have to do to somebody, honestly. He's going to have to replace a max contract. Or take a chance with a team like Portland. Take a chance with a team like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, Orlando. Jesus Christ. Imagine. But a player that great, he don't really need a whole lot. All he needs is guys to do the stuff that he doesn't do. And the ball in his hands at the end of the game to close the team out. That's all he really needs. Now, if he feels it, I don't know if he feels that way. But I totally believe he could take a team to their maximum level. Now, in the Eastern Conference that's getting stronger, maybe he probably needs a little more help. But shouldn't be no reason he can't get that if the team's willing to do it. So, yeah, man. I know I started off talking about Kyrie, KD. I'll just make it a Nets video, call it that. But at the end of the day, I really do think that the Nets should just hold on to Ben Simmons, or just get rid of him too. If you don't want to build around him and the uniqueness of his talent, or you don't believe in his health, you should probably try to move on from him. But I just don't know that you're going to be able to without attaching something ridiculously expensive, for which I don't think you have. So you're probably stuck with Ben Simmons unless you move KD or Kyrie and then take what you moved Kyrie to KD with and then attach it to Ben Simmons. It ain't that serious in my opinion. He's too great of a player to be trying to get rid of that soon when you just traded the farm, also known as James Harden, to get him. Just wait him out. Help him heal is what I would suggest the Nets do. Get his mind right, get his body right, get him back into the game. You know what I mean? And get the most out of a great player, because that's exactly what Ben Simmons is. He's a great player. So I haven't forgotten that. But if he keeps tumbling around the league, keep going, it ain't going to work because he's too unique of a player. He cannot go everywhere. So you keep him where he's at, and you bring to him the best possible stuff. Shooting, defense, athletes who can catch lobs, guys with great hands who can play in transition. All of that. All of them need to be floor spacers, and preferably somebody who can shoot from further than beyond the three-point arc, creating more space for him to operate, dishing the ball and putting less pressure on him to have to shoot it himself. That is how you build around Ben Simmons, Bradley Beals, DeAndre Hunters, players like that. Guys like we just picked up, Christie, people like that. That's what you need. And you surround him with a bunch of them dudes, KD, guys who can shoot. Middleton, guys who can shoot. Let it fly. That is what he's going to be able to do for you. He's going to let those guys let it fly. He's going to get them in positions to get the best possible rhythmic shot available. And he's going to do it in a flashy way that is good for your Brooklyn overall competitive nature with New York. You know what I'm trying to say. It's good for you guys. So that's a showman. It's a starting piece. He's in his 20s, and his value's a little bit low. So I think you got him for the cheap, believe it or not. Just don't have KD's timeline, and Kyrie's already out the door, as we very well see. So that's what I see there, man. That's what I see there. It's the whole circumference of the situation. If I missed a piece there, I don't have details and stuff. I don't know, but that's what I see. Those are the tea leaves, like as I like to call them. And I think this is going to be settled. I think all this is going to be settled. I think if I know the NBA, KD's already in contact with the team he's going to. He already got 2-3 teams that are making promises for a player of that level. So I ain't worried about that. My question is there any possible way he's going to land in the same place and Kyrie's going? And I think that's actually possible. I heard something that really stuck out to me. And this is going to be a very long video if I get into this, but I'm going to just keep going. I'm going to shift this into a Laker type of situation because it still involves the Nets very much so. If by chance the Lakers are in fact not in love with Anthony Davis, okay? Now, I would not suggest getting rid of Anthony Davis at all unless I was certain he's in a full-fledged regression. Is not going to look any better than he just did. That's the only reason why I would do it. But if the Lakers are not in love with Anthony Davis, I could totally see a scenario in life where Kyrie Irving and KD both get traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, as to which Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook's contract would go some direction or another, as to which the Nets would take back whatever it is they want. I don't know what that would be. Maybe it's those two players. I doubt it, though. I doubt it. Based on what it is, I've deduced that what the Nets would need. I don't know if AD fits their timeline any better than KD would. And it's probably best for them to build around KD if that's the case. But if KD wants out and wants to go where Kyrie's going, which is what the speculation in my head is, if that scenario is the way it goes, then he's probably going to want to land away from the Nets, obviously. So this is a situation where you could totally see the Nets saying, all right, well, maybe I'll take back AD and start building around him, but AD ain't going to like that. He going to want to go somewhere else. He ain't going to want to land with the Nets unless they're bringing someone to him that he wants to play with. Maybe he adds Bradley Beal. That's not good enough if I'm AD. You need to bring me somebody else too. And that turns your timeline into something entirely different. Trying to move Ben Simmons to make that work, that don't work. I don't think AD and Ben Simmons match necessarily either, especially if AD shooting doesn't improve drastically. So that means AD goes somewhere else. It's crazy, right? But that's not going to be hard to do because there are a million teams that's going to want AD immediately. So that's not going to be hard to move him if for some reason, by chance, something like this is to happen. But the reason why I would say these things in this camera is because if it was, I don't remember which one it was, but one of the people who were reporting on KD's future, the teams that are interested in KD, one of them was the Lakers. And I'm like, did I just hear that correct? Like, did this man just mention the Lakers as teams that are possibly interested for KD? Now, if we're interested in KD and we're already talking about bringing Kyrie, and if the Lakers are in fact not sure about AD, as to which I have my questions if they are, based on what I've deduced from tea leaves, that they may want to move on from him because they're not certain if he's going to be healthy. There is a path where he goes somewhere else. Westbrook goes to Mike, MJ, because we know he wants that to pay Bridges. If that's what's happening, KD, Kyrie, LeBron James, Los Angeles Lakers, 2022-2023. Now, I don't think KD wants that. I don't think KD wants that. Because like I said, the Cold War that I've deduced has been going on for years. I don't want to play with Westbrook. I do. I don't want to play with Kyrie. I do. That's a Cold War, man. Them dudes going back and forth doing that kind of weird stuff. So I don't think they want to play together because of that. But if they over that, if I'm looking at something that ain't even there, if that's bullcrap, and they be in business about it, which it was reported LeBron James is not thinking about doing this in regards to his friends this year. He's talking about business. He wants to do the best basketball pairing possible. If I'm LeBron James and I like playing with older players, I already told you I like playing with older players. You goddamn right, I want the best player I've ever had to go against. Respect, Steph Curry. But it's KD. It's KD. If I'm going to go out, I want to go out with a guy I know I've won with. Can't be Bosh and Wade because they're gone. Kyrie. And I want the guy that I know took a couple rings from me. That's what I want. I ain't thinking about nothing other than winning and finishing this thing properly. KD needs to win. Golden State may not be open. All these other places he may go, no guarantee. You put him next to the King, they're winning it. They're winning it. I'm sorry. Golden State's going to fall apart if they lose those defenders. All these young teams, they ain't going to be able to stare down the barrel of LeBron James and KD and Kyrie. Even if Kyrie misses 2 months, it's too much. Even if KD's not available, we're rendered to KD, LeBron James, and Kyrie Irving. Proven champions. And a bunch of young kids who I know are going to scrap. A lot of them play defense. This is getting interesting. Because the one thing the Lakers could slip into their situation is Kevin Durant. Small forward, you need more wings. Always need wings. This is getting crazy. Now, I'm not on board with letting go of AD. Personally, I'm not. But if I am going to get rid of AD, I'm trying to bring back picks. But if I'm not getting rid of him with the intent of rebuilding, then I want to bring back a player like Kevin Durant or someone of that caliber. Now, me personally, I'm going to go young. If I'm going to get rid of AD, I'm looking for a star that's going to be younger. But this is Bron. We're trying to get something that he can work with. He don't want to work with young players. He showed us that already. So this makes more sense than I ever thought it would. The only thing is, does AD not want to play? Does LeBron James not want to play with AD anymore? I don't think that. I don't think that at all. Does LeBron James think that he could have a better defensive team with AD on the floor than KD? I don't think that. KD's a fantastic defender, but we're going to have to find somebody to do the things that AD does if we were to get rid of AD. We would need the things that AD does if we bring in KD in place of AD is what I'm trying to express. You're going to need some defense. LeBron James ain't a defender. KD, we just saw how bad that situation was, so he's not defending like that no more. And then, of course, Kyrie's not considered a defender. So we start creating problems if we remove AD in replace of KD defensively. Now, offensively, score 170 points a game if we truly want to. It would be dumb, how stupid, and how easy we're going to score. No one's beating us, period. Even if you have small ball lineups where you don't have rim protection, in that situation with that type of lethal offensive players, they're going to score so damn much off of the sheer strength of their talent. The efficiency of a KD naturally, the efficiency of LeBron James naturally, the efficiency of a Kyrie Irving naturally, and the nature of having to pick which one to defend. You could put me out there and one of my friends, they're going to win. So, I've deduced I can live without AD if I'm bringing in the offensive god level talent of KD and coupling it with Kyrie and coupling it with LeBron James. I still got to get some things though. I ain't guaranteeing myself a championship until I bring myself other things there. Still not certain I could beat the Golden State Warriors if they bring back a full team with all that luxury tax, $200 million luxury tax. I'm not sure we're beating them. I am not. Now with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, all them shooters, they're going to give us a lot of problems. So that doesn't make us the best team in the world, you guys. It doesn't. If you guys think that's what it does, it gives us a damn good chance, and I do think we'll win it. But when I say we'll win it, that's within reason, because you're going to have to understand, it's not about are you the best team, it's about can you keep repeatedly taking hits from the field that you're going up against. And that's the thing that people need to understand. Yeah, you give them one series to win, sure. You give them 82 games to stay healthy in, and then tell them to up their game defensively in the playoffs while maintaining that offensive edge as well, and beating the field that's scheming against you. You're going to need a lot of help, even if you're thinking of this type of God-level trio. And it's going to be on the Lakers to try to find them what they need, and I don't necessarily know it's available to us if we do that. Which is the problem, which is why I told the Lakers I want them to tear it down, because even when you're building a super team, you can see holes. You can see it. They're there. They may not be gaping if you have this type of talent, but let somebody get hurt, tumble down the standings, even with this type of talent. And the narrative is, they failed. They couldn't do it. They're washed up. They're old. Just went through that. We don't go through that again. However, with a chance to get KD, you may take a chance anyway. You may do it anyway. But I'm telling you that scenario, after 34 minutes of talking, Yeah, that looks like it could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen because a lot has to happen in order for that to happen. What you're seeing here is LeBron James and AD breaking up in order for KD and Kyrie to not. Does that make sense for the Lakers? I don't know. I don't know. But if the reports are true, they are interested in KD. And that's the only path I see to getting him. Unless we're trading LeBron James for him. That's craziness. I can't fathom that. So, what are we doing? I don't know. Did he misspeak? Whoever it was. Did I mishear him? Are the Lakers not interested in KD? You have to question that. I don't know. But, all in all, I see a path. I don't know if it's the greatest, but I see it. BDL 44, I thank y'all for watching.